How y'all doing today, y'all? I wanted to speak to you about obedience. I was taking a bath a couple hours ago, and I was reading. I believe I was reading Ezra or Esther, one of the two. Let me open my Bible real quick. Yeah, I was reading Ezra. Yes, Ezra is in the Bible. For all my Star Wars fans, Ezra. And I'm reading chapter 1, chapter 2, and I get to chapter 2. Well, I get to chapter 1. Well, no, I get to chapter 2, yeah. And it begins to just talk about the descendants of past people, right? I mean, the descendants of people who are like in that time right now. And it just goes over names and numbers, and it's repetitive. And I got bored. I'm just like, Lord, this is boring. But I'm trying to be obedient and read. And he's like, son, I'm teaching you to conquer your flesh. You're training your flesh right now. You don't want to do this. And it's not because you in general, you Dennis don't want to do this. Your spirit don't want to do this. It's your flesh that's fighting against the obedience of God. Fighting against the spirit. Your flesh doesn't want to do it. You don't feel like doing it. But God said do it. Sometimes doing what God says do, sometimes it's going to be boring. And a lot of us don't look at something being boring as, as something that we should still do. If, for example, like if I'm doing what God told me to do and I'm getting angry or I'm getting sad, it's like, okay, well, it can be kind of clear, okay, this attack is coming because I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. But when something's boring, it's a little hard to decipher that, or like when God say do something that you feel fear, a lot of us understand, okay, now I really need to do it because that is that's Satan trying to stop me from doing what God says do. But when boredom comes, we don't always look at that as a spiritual thing. We just be like, I'm getting bored. I'll just read a different scripture. Cause I was talking to God, I'm like, look, I'd rather read Psalms, I'd rather read Proverbs because I know on there it's gonna be some good parables for me. Something for me to learn from. I'm like, Lord, this is just history. I'm like, this is boring, God. But he's just like, yeah. And not saying the point of this is to be boring, and not saying that everyone's going to get the same revelation of training your flesh with this scripture. You might get more from this. But what I got from this, when I was reading this, was that God is training my flesh. I'm doing something that glorifies my Father. I'm spending time with my Father. Regardless if it's boring, I'm spending time with my Father. And I need to spend time with Him. Regardless if it's boring. It's going to be boring, but you're training your flesh to be obedient to your spirit, so that you can overcome temptation.